Hi, Ruth. I wanted to respond with this video demonstration giving you a few ideas that maybe will answer your questions about what to do with your father-in-law's tunic. For your first drawing, I think you're just doing some wonderful things. You have some very nice parts of your technique going on, and you've posted these over in the 5-pencil method community. And I thank you for that. And you also went ahead and put your reference up, which helps us a lot because we know what you're trying to achieve. And I wanted to make a couple suggestions about the tunic. It might give you some choices. First of all, I know it's very difficult to get contour when you're working with such a large area and all you really see in your photograph is one color, which is black. And I like to stay away from black anyway. If you try to achieve black everywhere, you won't have anything darker to use to give it some contour. And if you use the rules of light, you could go ahead and allow yourself to get a little darker as it goes towards the back, over the shoulder, towards that back clean edge. You might find some other logical places where you just using some common sense, you might be able to say, I think it would be darker here. That right away starts breaking it up and giving you an opportunity again to have some contour and dimension to your picture. But I tend to try to avoid it and not deal with such a large area. One other thing just before I get too far is if you're trying to do an area like this with your 4H, you want to be very careful that you don't work it too much, because then when you do go to your softer pencils, it has a tendency to go on uneven because you've basically pressed too hard with your 4H. So just be very careful. There's nothing wrong with putting a tone in there, but again, try to come up with places that are darker and don't necessarily do the entire expanse all the way across what you're calling the tunic. Because your tendency is just to have a flat tone, just to get the whole place filled in. And so I would have a tendency to do something like this in my pictures. And so I'm going to go into Photoshop here and just show you that if it were me, I would take away some of this garment. It's so tempting to follow what you have in the photograph that you almost feel like it's a requirement to go all the way down to the bottom edge or over to the left or the right. And then you end up by having this sudden ending to your picture and your mind just goes, well, what's that? And it's kind of a distraction. I'd rather bring focus back to the character of your father-in-law and capture who he is, instead of just coming out to almost an unimportant part, unless you feel that this uniform was so much a part of the story that you want to make sure you capture it and include it. So that right there, I think, and I'm going to take this little part up here off. But that right there, I think, helps to bring, again, focus back to him as an individual and focus on what you really want to capture in the first place. Now, the other thing that I see is that I've got to get my stylus working here. I see that there is also a little bit of a proportion thing going on here that I thought maybe I could help you with. And I want you to just remember, and I mention this often, if you look at some of my other demonstrations, you'll see me refer to the same thing. Take advantage of the information that you have in your reference. There's always something to compare it to. And in this way, this isn't the only thing, but if you have your divider in particular, if you don't, you could also use something else to compare distances. You can come up to, thank you, I didn't pick my color here. You can come up to your reference and pick something that is a similar distance. So down here in your drawing, you possibly, it's just freehanding this, it looks like this could be a little farther than what you have it, a little short, and this might be a little long. And the two together might help you get a little better proportion. Compare contour, angle, edges, and then come up to your reference. And when you want to find the part that is, let's see, I think this will still work. when you want to find the part that is the distance, you can take it from a point. Now it might be the nose down to here. Boy, that's a thick line. Let me get a smaller one. I thought that was what was going to happen. We have a different resolution here. But we can take something that we can really identify well. You can take it from the end of the nose and come down to the edge of the face, and then find something else that is a comparative measurement. And you have many opportunities between eyes. You can go between pupils. You can go from pupil to tear duct. You can go between the corners of the eye and the corners of the eye. You might find something as you take this measurement on your reference and find something that's comparable. So it might very well be this right here. And then you will go ahead and find that on your drawing. And I got to remember to change this because we have two separate resolutions here. You would go ahead and take that same measurement here and compare it to this and see if it is the same. So you can do that on both sides as long as you're going up to the same reference point and down to that edge of the face. You have a chance to compare it to whatever you found that is exactly the same. So you kind of work in reverse. You go to what you want to find in your reference, you find something equivalent, you come down to that equivalent measurement on your drawing, and then use that to find out where the edge of that jaw or chin line is. So you can do that all over your picture. There might be a few opportunities for you to check and see things like I see maybe the hairline is a little different. Maybe it's a little higher there and maybe a little shorter here. It looks like maybe the hair is a little higher here and a little flatter and shorter here where his part is. So those are things that you can quickly reference again. Find a comparative measurement, go up to this, and again, this is going to be a thick line. I better go ahead and make this smaller just because it's going to be really goofy. But you can go ahead and say, okay, I want to find out what this is. So you can find anything that gives you a stable place to measure from and find a comparison. And then go to your comparison on here, if you have that developed in your picture, and then go back up and find out where either the outer edge of the hair is or your hairline. So I hope those two things will help. Again, I like to be able to bring focus back to the picture, so I probably wouldn't get involved in that dark area of the tunic. And if I was going to keep it, I probably wouldn't make it as dark as it shows in your picture because it's almost guaranteed it's going to become flat. So I hope that helps you. Look forward to seeing more of your work. And if you have a chance to show us what you're going to do further with this picture, we'll just look forward to seeing that too. So thanks again for sharing.